Today, we're going to tour the Nakashima Farm, or what's left of it. Little barn sits out there in that field by itself, like an old friend, waiting to be visited. It's a beautiful place, nestled in a valley, right off Highway 9, before you get into Monroe. Now, my uncle's friend was trying to farm this place in the early 80s. He was the last of about 8 people to try to farm this. Only the Nakashima family were able to be successful, and they were taken off this farm in 1942. This is how the farm looked in '83, how I remembered it. Today it's a state park. All the other outbuildings are gone. Just the barn. There was a sawmill that stood on this place once. They started out with big logs, and when the big logs ran out, they turned to shakes. And that's when the Nakashima family bought it. So at the middle top is where the sawmill sat. The bottom right-hand corner, there were 2 houses that the Nakashima family built along with the barn. And this is the Nakashima family, some of them. There was 27 people here altogether, 2 families, multiple generations. They worked the land, they harvested trees. Here's some of the children in the front yard. Picture of the farm. They had outbuildings, chicken coops, hog pens, horse pens, silo even. They milked 40 cows by hand. Today, you can see where the old milk house used to be. You can see vacuum lines there from the last previous owner. It's where the milk house sat. All this was added over the years. Now, this block of concrete here is actually part of a double 4 herringbone parlor. Yes, there's a milk parlor inside there. The last owner put a milk parlor in. That there was probably the door the cows used to come out of the parlor. There's a feeder alley down along this line. All this was under a roof at one time. See, this is where the loping shed was. Just like that. All that's left is, you can see where the scraper alley used to be. And there was a scrape where they would scrape manure down into the pit there. And there's another one at the far end. And right here you can see remnants of a feeder. It had a feeder here. Cement feeder right along here. And I believe it had a dirt floor in it because it has blue alfalfa growing in there. So the hay or alfalfa he was feeding the cows is actually seeded in there. There's the second scraper alley. Probably was a liquid manure tank right there at one time. And this is about where the sawmill sat, and here's a view from up above. Executive Order 9066 changed these people's world. They were moved off their farm and they were sent to 2 different relocation camps. They had to build their own homes before they could live there. This is little George and his mom and sister. Little George later became famous for making furniture. The Japanese, the Nisei, served honorably in our military while their families were being held in these camps. Their motto was "Go for broke." They had nothing to lose, and the Germans feared them. They fought in Italy and France and through Europe. This barn, if you look at the door, the loft door, it didn't hinge, it slid down. You don't see that often. And also, it had a mound peak at both ends, which means they could load hay in from both ends of the barn. A lot of barns didn't do that either. The Nakashima family, they were pretty smart. That's power boxes from the previous owner. When the Nakashima family were here, they didn't have electricity on the property. Everything was done by hand. They worked hard to make this place beautiful. They pulled stumps, they plowed and worked the land. Now it's dedicated to them, and it's a footpath park. You can spend all day out here hiking. They have trails everywhere. And this park ties in with a few other parks. There's horseback riding, there's bicycle riding, there's just walking, and there's some jogging paths. It's beautiful out here. Just absolutely beautiful out here. Birds are singing. You can smell the alder and the cottonwood, the grass. And just think, this was all open field. This had all been cleared. It's a beautiful valley. Now this is the creek that fed the mill across the valley on the other side. The Nakashima family actually had built a small pond, and out of that pond they created a reservoir, and that reservoir would feed and water their livestock, and themselves had water for the house. And a quick history lesson on a placard out here on the trail explaining. And from this spot where this picture was taken, they took the picture of that farm back in the day. It was a big place, almost 1,300 acres. Today it's not quite so much. I think it's just under 20. But these paths go along the outer edge of the property now. Some of what used to be pasture for the farm is now private owned land. There's cattle and horses here. It's just a beautiful place to spend the day. Spend, just walking, enjoying nature. So even though the Nakashima family had it stolen from them, I think they would be glad to see how it was used today. The last time any of them were on this farm was in '83. Now you can go to this website, www.densho.org, and get all the information you need about this farm and about the Nisei and about other Japanese farmers. I had to tour this place. It's just beautiful. Thank you for coming with me.